There are goblins afoot doing crime.
Jojo Siwa's out.
Well, she's out, but she still seems like she's closeted.
If you're an ugly old hag, sound off in the comments.
Yeah, sound off in the comments, ugly old hags.
Yeah. Just vibe it out. Don't think about what makes sense and what doesn't make sense. Just have fun with it.
Frock, and you're frocked. I can't talk about, I actually don't think I can talk about the witch trials anymore. It's getting too much.
You know who else invented gay pop? Rebecca Nurse.
Between February 1692 and May 1693, more than 200 people were accused of witchcraft in Salem, Massachusetts.
By the end of the Salem witch trials, the Massachusetts Bay Colony had executed 14 women, 5 men, and 2 dogs.
My name is Blair.
And I'm Carley.
This is Girl Historians.
The Salem Witch Files. Ahoy!
Welcome back to Girl Historians.
I'm Carley.
And I'm Blair.
And this is the comedy podcast where we dive deep into certain areas of history and also girls.
And we research and sometimes we get things wrong and
that's
you can't
valid.
hold us against us.
This is the Salem Witch Files, aka the Salem Bitch Trials, aka the second season where we're breaking down all things Salem Witch Trials.
Salem, Massachusetts, baby.
Massachusetts. Couldn't spell that, gun to my head.
Yeah, no.
Even when I write up the notes for this, I'm like, I copy and paste
Yeah.
Massachusetts just so I can paste it.
Oh, because
I
I
can't.
have it on your
I have
on
it
your
locked
clipboard.
and loaded,
I
ready on my
know.
clipboard.
I'm really bad at spelling, and anytime
Me
there's
as
like
well.
anytime there's like a C that's used as an S, I'm like,
Fuck
oh
off.
my god, like I'm done.
I never get success on the first
Oh, success
try.
is awful.
I'm
It
always
is.
like,
I'm
how
never
many
successful.
C's? I'm never successful with success.
Never successful with success.
No.
No, it's a nightmare. Also, convenience. I can't spell convenience.
Oh.
Whenever I'm texting someone, I'm like, I'm gonna pop by the convenience store. I'm always like the conveyor store, the convenience store.
I do a lot of voice to text.
Oh, okay. You know what? This actually makes sense.
Yeah.
No, based on, I just thought, okay, this is real. Puzzle pieces are coming
Like I'll be
together.
like, convenience. And then it'll spell it out.
I really like audio notes. I really like audio messaging.
The introduction of that into the culture has got to be one of the best things ever for gossip.
I know.
Because your friend can just send you a 5-minute voice note and you can podcast it and it's glorious. It's one of my favorite things. And then I can someone back be like, no, I know.
No, I know.
And I'll sometimes keep them all and then listen to them all in order, including my own, just to kind of
yes.
like see the audio narrative of it all.
Yes.
Beautiful.
No, I really like it. I know that some people don't. Because someone told, I can't remember who it was, but someone came up to me where they were like, isn't this a horrible thing that's happening? And I'm like, this is the greatest single thing that's ever happened to me, because one of my biggest difficulties in life is conveying tone over written messaging.
Me too.
And so I like to be able to like hear my tone if I'm joking or serious.
Definitely. And I'm always concerned about somebody screenshotting what I'm saying and taking it out of context.
And I know that for sure people have done that.
Yeah, me as well. Like
Because-
there's just literally no way. not.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like I do it all the
Because
time.
you know what they say, do unto others as you would want to be done to you.
you.
And I screenshot.
I'm
sorry.
screenshotting. I'm like, that was too crazy for you to send to me for me not to keep that forever.
But I love invisible ink as well. Do you use invisible ink?
You know what? It's so funny. I don't. And then
Not
whenever
the
someone
concept
does it,
to podcast listeners. It's like a thing on the iPhone where you can send
Yes.
it and basically it makes the message kind of scrambled and you have to touch down on top of it and kind of as if you are using a lighter to reveal invisible ink.
yeah,
So it basically means that people can't screenshot your messages.
that just came together for
Yeah.
me. That like that's why
Because they can't,
you
they
would
don't, unless they have
invisible ink it.
3 hands. I mean, there's ways around
Yeah.
it. You can screen record or whatever.
I'm sure
but
you
it's just
could, but like I do like that. I want to use it more, but I feel like I don't text a lot of secrets. I'm a big like I have a secret. You have to call me.
Yeah, I love a call.
I love a call. I love a call. Honestly, I've gotten more and more, especially like when you're meeting someone and you're like, I'm here. And then it's like you're sort of looking at the phone like, am I going to stand like a loser like outside your house? I'm just like, I'm just calling you at this point.
Yeah, I love a
Like,
call.
ring, ring, I'm here. Like,
Ring, ring.
Ring, ring.
Banana phone.
Ring, ring, banana phone. Or if you just have like a question that you just need answered, it's like, I'm just going to call you.
Yeah, I feel the
answer
same
my
way.
question.
I have no patience.
Yeah.
How was your week, Blair?
My week's been pretty good. I'm getting a new roommate next week.
Hell yeah.
So my current roommate that I've been living with for almost 6 years is moving out, which is crazy, as you know. And so it's just been like a lot of change. And also my apartment looks like a literal bomb went off.
Ugh.
It's insane.
The worst part of moving.
I know, and I'm a very, unfortunately, a very aesthetically driven person. So if my apartment doesn't look nice the way I want it to, I lose my fucking mind. Like I can't function. So it's just kind of like I feel a little bit scrambled, but I'm excited for the change at the same time. I also got to see my favorite band last night.
Young Fathers.
Young Fathers. They're, oh my God, amazing. If you get a chance to, well, first of all, more people should listen to Young Fathers.
Okay.
The crowd was insane. It was very NPR.
Okay.
I was like, this is nuts.
Yeah.
But oh my God, amazing show. I just loved it. Everyone should listen to them. They're so cool. They're like this Scottish, like experimental, like hip hop, alt rock, like band. It's really hard to describe what genre, because they basically just like go into the studio and like hit drums and yell, and it's fucking awesome.
That's cool.
So yeah, pretty good. How's your week?
It was good. I saw the full eclipse on Monday.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Insane. So we went, Reese is very into space. And he was like,
That
when
tracks.
yes. And when the eclipse was coming. So there was a full lunar eclipse, for those who didn't know, in Canada and North America this past Monday. And that basically means when the moon covers the entirety of the sun so you can look at it.
Yeah.
It's like you've probably seen pictures of it. And if you go to a specific spot in the line of totality, you can look at the sun because it's completely covered from those points.
Wow.
I read this really, really great article of somebody talking about what it was like to see a full lunar eclipse. And they compared like a full to a partial. It's like comparing a full lunar eclipse to a partial eclipse. It's like comparing kissing a man to marrying a man, or flying a plane to jumping out of a plane, of like one precedes the other, but they're entirely different.
Yeah.
Because I'd seen partial ones before where it's like kind of covered and you're like, whoa, the sun's kind of it's dark or whatever. But I'd never done anything like this. And I was just going because I was like, oh, he wants to go. That'll be fun. Took the train to Kingston, Ontario. My first time there.
Oh my God.
And it was the craziest thing I've ever seen in my human life. Like I basically was just there to like have fun. We went with Griffin Toplitsky.
Love
friend
him.
of the pod.
Friend of the pod.
And so you have to like look down, and then you can take your eclipse glasses off and look up after like an hour when we had 3 minutes. And I like looked up and went, oh my God. Like it's like you feel as though it doesn't compute in your brain that the moon is covering the sun.
Yeah.
So it just looks like a black hole in the middle of the sky, and it's cold and dark, and the animals are freaking out. And you're like, oh, we're dying. Like it's a really weird thing of, you understand why in ancient cultures the sun was the god. Like,
I was thinking about that so much. Like seeing this 1,000 years ago, you would have been like, oh, this is like, we're done. We're dead. Or like a new era has dawned.
Yes.
Like, because even
you don't know
that.
why in the olden days.
No, there'd be no understanding. I'm sure they understood the moon pretty early on in civilization, but still, like that would have been fucking crazy.
It was insane. Like I had never seen anything like it. It's like truly like before and after. Like, and again, I don't really, not that I don't care about space, but I just am not the kind of person that's like, oh my God, I really wanted to see an eclipse, a full lunar eclipse in my lifetime. But it's like the craziest thing I've ever seen. We're gonna, I think, go to Spain to see the next one.
What?
It's very interesting. It's like,
when's
now,
the next one?
It's in 18 months.
Oh my God.
They're generally in about 18 months. And then there's one that's in 2027, I believe, in Sydney, Australia on my birthday.
Oh,
we were looking at these.
So
but it's so funny because now it's like, it happens so fast. It's also, we're in a period right now where the sun is like very, very active. So we were able to actually see these rings that were coming off of the sun that were red, which is like when the sun, basically part of the surface detaches from it and becomes this giant loop. Like it was crazy. It was
like a sun flare, right?
Kind of, but different. But it's similar to that. It was the craziest thing I've ever seen in my entire life. And again, like it's impossible to communicate, and photos don't really do it justice because it like removes it from the context of like your animal brain being like, this is bad, but it's crazy. Yeah. And you just become very, very aware of being like, oh, that whole thing they say where it's like, if the entire existence of Earth was like a 24-hour day, humans would have arrived at like 11:59 and 58 seconds or something like that, where you're like, oh, who cares about life? Like it's really, really insane. And to see it with all these people was really cool because it was like everyone was just like cheering, but also
where did you go in Kingston?
St. Lawrence Park.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just like a big park. But it was really cool because as soon as it happens, it gets super, super dark. And you just hear everyone go like, whoa. And then afterwards, everybody cheered. It was really cool. And then it's fucked because like you're filled with like dread and also like fear and like amazement. And then it ends. And you just like, we're like, let's go to the train station.
Yeah, let's go home.
It was really, really interesting.
Yeah.
If you ever have an opportunity to go, I'd recommend it. Because it wasn't even, again, a thing of like on my bucket list, but it was like the craziest thing I've seen in my entire life.
I just watched it in Toronto and I felt that. I was like, this is truly one of the most insane things I've ever seen in my life. Like when it all got dark and stuff like that. And like eclipses in like astrology really symbolize like new beginnings and stuff like that. And it was just like really like, oh, this is like cool to be reminded that like the universe is bigger than like me on Instagram.
I know. Who cares?
Yeah, it's kind of like, oh, this is like a nice reminder.
Was the quality of light here like it was there, where like everything becomes, when it gets darker, it's not like dark like nighttime, it like gets gray?
Yeah.
That was fucked.
I
was like,
insane.
oh, okay, we're dying.
The streetlights all went on for like 2 minutes.
That's crazy.
It was insane. I read my tarot cards also during the eclipse because I went out to watch like the big part of it, and then I went inside and read my tarot cards. Obviously was an insane reading.
How can it not?
Freaked myself out. And then I was like, okay, great. Here we go. That. Yeah, it was cool though. I feel very like ooh, this week.
Yeah. Ooh. Well, I brought my moonstones, of course.
Oh yeah, did you recharge?
I had to recharge my powerful stones. Well, I couldn't bring all my crystals because that would just be way too many. But yeah, it was great.
I like my carry-on bag, which is full of my rocks and my crystals.
Yeah.
Like, what do you have there, Carly?
Don't worry about it.
What do you have there?
Don't worry.
What is that? What's in your bag? Don't worry.
And then I got a slushie from a convenience store in Kingston.
That's huge.
There was no one there because everybody in town basically evacuated because they thought a bunch of people were going to come.
This is the thing. My friend works for disaster relief for the Ontario government and was getting calls from like every mayor like across Ontario being like, we're going to run out of gas for the cars because people are going to come for the eclipse and we need a state of emergency.
It was truly the most normal. Yeah. It was fine.
She's went to a 25-year-old woman like on phone with the mayor being like, it's going to be fine. You don't need the military.
The Juniper Cafe.
Oh my God. Yeah. I love Juniper.
It was a vibe.
Because that's in the in the building beside the Isabel Bader Theater. And the Isabel Bader Theater is like part of the like drama and film department. Okay. So that's technically Queen's campus.
I was happy to be in Queens and represent. Never been.
Did you feel the presence of me and Rob?
Well, here's the thing. We were so much closer to St. Lawrence College than Queens. I know. So it's like,
sorry.
So I didn't.
Kidding. Just kidding. St. Lawrence College.
I didn't feel. I feel like if I was on the Queen's campus, I would have felt more.
Yeah.
Closer to you.
You would have been like dark academia.
Definitely.
Like,
secret history. Donna Tartt's really rolling in. Oh, I was going to say her grave. She's fully alive. But she wrote a whole fucking book about being like aesthetics are bad. And now it's just become like a TikTok aesthetic.
Oh my God. I have the secret history. I haven't read it yet.
You should read it.
Because now I think I mentioned this last week, but it's still plaguing my life that all my library holds are coming through at the same time.
Yeah, your life is over.
We're done. I have a stack of like 9 books that I just have to read because the library's mad at me. And then today I got an email that my hold of A Little Life came through.
Which I don't even Little Life is crazy.
I don't even want to read it
anymore. It's going to be waterlogged. No, you should. I mean, I feel like I've been pretty open. I hate that fucking book.
I know, but I need to know why. This is my problem. It sounds like I hate the book. I'm like, you gotta read it. I have to read it.
Yeah. Hope you like rape.
To form an opinion. Oh, I love rape.
Okay.
So thank God.
On that note,
right up my alley.
Let's talk about the women of Salem.
I'm really excited for this episode to talk about the women because talking about the men,
annoying.
Enough said.
Yes.
Need I go on?
Now, for the men episode, we were able to talk about every single man that was hanged. Way more women were hanged. And I basically, in order for us to really go in depth on some of the really interesting cases, had to make choices.
Carly ranked the women based on how hot they were. She said hottie or naughty, and the hot women we're talking about, the naughties we're not talking about.
It's not worth it.
No, it's not
No, well, the real thing is that like a lot of these women, either there wasn't a lot of information on them because they were homeless, or their story was so sad, I just truly wasn't confident in our ability to inject any form of levity in it. Like it'd just be like, her husband died and she was a destitute widow reduced to begging, and then they hanged her for being a witch.
And then we're like,
then we bark at each other because that's our panic response.
Exactly. Yeah, it's fun to have a history comedy podcast in the way that a lot of history is really dark. And then to have to twist it into something really fun.
Yes, but I think a lot of these women are so like iconic.
Yes.
That it will still be a really fun episode. So we're going through a lot of the women who were charged for witchcraft. Some of them were hanged and some of them weren't, but they just have really, really amazing stories.
I'm excited.
I'm really, really excited. And I want to say before we get into it that we're not going to talk about Sarah Osborne, Sarah Good, or Tituba because we go really in depth on their stories in the first accusations episode.
Yes.
So if you're interested in hearing about Tituba or Sarah Good, we talk about her a little bit because we're talking about one of her daughters.
Cool.
Listen to that episode.
Yeah.
There's just a lot of women in the Salem witch trials on account of misogyny.
Yes.
So shall we just get into
I'm
it?
ready. I'm ready to go.
Right.
I'm ready to go. I've got my listening hat on and my thinking brain plugged in.
Okay.
It's my song.
I got my listening hat on and my thinking brain plugged in. Great. So first we're going to talk about Briget Bishop, who was 60. I got like around everyone's ages just so we can kind of like really picture them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Now, Briget Bishop was the first person hanged for witchcraft in the Salem witch trials.
Oh, okay.
So as we talked about before, but I really want to kind of reiterate so you can picture it. Basically, in either Salem town, Salem village, or around, if you were around in like Andover, whatever, you get accused of witchcraft. And usually in the beginning, there'd be like a little inquisition where like a town leader would come and visit you and be like, you seem like a witch. Then the warrant for your arrest would go out. You'd be arrested. There'd be an examination of you, which is basically like in the town pub.
Yeah, and they
with
go,
no lawyer in sight. And they're just like,
do you have a teat for your animal?
You're going to jail.
You're going to jail.
So
You're
then
going to prison.
After that, you are taken to either Boston jail or like a nearby jail. From there, you sit in jail for a bit, and then finally the court of oyster, as we refer to it, but it was basically just the formal court made up of like dignitaries and people from Harvard. They basically ask if they do like a more formal hearing to either sentence you to death or not, because the crime for witchcraft was death.
That's too bad.
Which is too bad. It is too bad. So that was more formal and it was around academics. But again, spectral evidence or the idea that I could just say your ghost tortured me was admitted as full evidence.
It's awesome that you could go to Harvard and then at Harvard, they're just like, so ghosts are real and you can arrest someone for using a ghost.
And vibe with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like just vibe it out. Don't think about what makes sense and what doesn't make sense. Just have fun with it.
And they should bring that back to university settings.
Exactly.
Saying there are goblins afoot doing crime.
Honestly, get the goblins.
They're
afoot and they're doing crime.
And they're doing crime.
So I just want to say that because at some points I'll say like she was examined on this date. She was tried on this date. They're different things. It doesn't really matter because the whole system is crooked. But just so you know, the trial was to figure out if you, or the examination was to figure out if you were a witch. And then the trial was to figure out if they were going to hang you or not.
Okay.
And if you admitted to witchcraft in the examination, said like, yes, I'm a witch and I feel really bad about it, you would go to jail, but you wouldn't be hanged or tried. Mm-hmm. If you didn't admit to it in the examination, then you would go to trial.
Okay, I didn't actually know that.
Yeah, so the trial is basically there to prove that you're not a witch if you think you're not a witch.
I love that. Okay. Well, I mean, I hate it, but
it's
I
not
love
good,
the understanding.
But it is, yes.
I love having the information.
Yes. So Briget Bishop was the first person sentenced to hang from the Salem witch trials. And her choice, like, because she was the first one on trial. And this was a really surprising thing to a lot of people in the community because you would think it would be Tituba or Sarah Good, you know, one of the first people to be accused. But Briget Bishop, in the eyes of the court, was, for lack of a better word, like a slam dunk. They wanted to basically pick someone who they knew they could just destroy.
Or like, we've got this in the can.
Pack it up,
no
boys.
try.
Yeah, keep the car running. We're going to be in, out.
Yeah, it's like me when I'm having a vulnerable Friday.
Exactly.
It's great. I get it.
I get it. So they picked her so it can be like, okay, kind of like a dress rehearsal, but with a woman's life on the line.
And good for them because, you know, bad dress, good show.
Honestly.
Yeah.
That's what they say.
That's what they say.
That's what they say. So she was basically a slam dunk because she was an older woman who people didn't like and who had prior witchcraft accusations against her. Briget Bishop is interesting to talk about as well because she is part of another lie we've told on this podcast by accident.
Oh, no.
But it's not our fault. It's a lie in history. And it was a lie that was told in the book I read.
Really?
And I found out through researching on the Salem Witch Trials Museum.org or .com.
Okay.
So thank you to the Salem Witch Trials Museum.
Thank you, museum.
About this mix-up.
Okay.
Okay. So the general narrative is that one of the reasons she was accused was because she defied gender norms and helped her husband run a pub, okay?
Okay.
Like a pub out of their house where there was gambling. And she was kind of historicized as this woman who was older, but she wore this big red corset. And this just like didn't happen. She's a completely different person. But they only found that out recently because there were two. She was married to Edward Bishop.
Okay.
And there was another person married
Bishop?
to Edward Bishop.
No.
So it's two different women. We're going to talk about that as
Okay.
we go along.
Wow.
So Briget Bishop was married 3 times. Her first marriage was to Samuel Wasselby, and he died in 1664, and they immigrated to Salem together, okay? Then she remarried to Thomas Oliver in 1666 in Salem.
1666, bad year to get married.
No, already the devil's year.
Let's be that's enough. I'd say witch.
Witch. Honestly. Oliver was a widower with children, and they fought a lot publicly. It was believed that he was abusive because she was oftentimes in records like injured or bruised, but they would publicly fight in like the town square
and good
constantly.
For them.
Yes. She was accused of calling her husband profane names on the Sabbath.
Oh, no.
And one time had to go to court for that. On another occasion, both her and her husband had to stand in the marketplace gagged for an hour with their offenses taped on a little piece of paper taped on their forehead for people to walk by.
What?
Which imagine if you're just going grocery shopping in the Loblaws and you see like your messiest couple friends like gagged and you're like,
and I have a few ideas.
Yeah.
You know who you are.
So in 1679, Oliver died. I wrote choke bitch. in my notes.
Choke bitch.
And Bishop was accused of witchcraft by his children, and they claimed that she bewitched them to death. Let her cook.
Okay, yeah. Love that for her.
But this was more likely because of some kind of inheritance battle in which they wanted all the money from her.
Yeah.
So much of this witchcraft stuff
is
people wanting money.
And I get it.
So she had to go to court for this, but the case was thrown out, okay?
Okay.
So her third marriage was to Edward Bishop, who was an elderly sawyer. He sawed for a living.
It's spelled
Sawyer.
Sawyer?
Sawyer, but it's for a person who saws.
But it's a sawyer.
I had to look this up because they just said this in
That's crazy.
the notes as if that was a job we all know. So I was like, what the fuck is this? And they're like, it's a person who saws.
Person who saws. Okay, good.
So she married Edward Bishop, who sawed for a living. He was an elderly man, and Briget Bishop and Sarah Bishop are the ones that get confused because Sarah Bishop married a different elderly man named Edward Bishop.
Oh no. Well, this is an ongoing theme. There weren't a lot of names in Salem.
Oh no. And when we get down this list, it's like they had 4 fucking names that you could choose from. It's kind of crazy. Now, Briget lived in Salem town, and Sarah lived in Salem village.
Okay.
So that's how you can also tell them apart. But basically, Sarah was accused of witchcraft because she ran an unlicensed pub out of her home with gambling with her husband. Okay. So this is why people in history think that Briget Bishop was a person who ran a pub because they got them confused. And if you look up Briget Bishop on Google, her like little, I don't know, like modifier is business person.
Really?
Yeah, but it's wrong.
Interesting.
So she was said to be a moral threat to the town of Salem because of this. And also she allegedly, although like this is just kind of like a historical story, wore like a bright red like dress like a bustier.
Oh.
Okay.
So she was dressed like a little slut.
Absolutely.
Good for her.
Now, her husband and her were both accused of witchcraft later in the trials, but escaped from jail because her father-in-law was the town constable.
Okay. So when they say escaped, he unlocked the door and she scurried away in her little corset.
Absolutely.
Much like the Chapel Rowan of Salem.
Exactly. She definitely, just imagine Chapel Rowan.
Yeah. That's who I'm picturing. I know she's a 60-year-old woman, but I'm picturing Chapel Rowan.
And good. So they like scurried away and they opened up a different pub in like a different part of Massachusetts.
And this is what it's like to know a bartender these days too in the year 2024.
Yes.
You get scurried out of one bar prison and
you just start another bar prison.
Another bar and it's, it's cash only and you're like, that's interesting.
So they both got confused because in the like court documents or whatever, they were both Goody Bishop.
Oh, geez.
I know. And by the way, we had talked about this a little bit. Because you always hear like, oh, Goody Proctor or whatever from the Crucible. Yeah. And to find out that's not a first name.
Can I just say probably
for good wife?
Probably the biggest thing I learned doing this podcast is that Goody wasn't just the popular like Emma of that time.
I
really
feel the same way.
I was like, I would name my daughter Goody.
Yes.
Adorable. Here,
Absolutely.
Goody. Hi,
yes.
Goody.
Now, Sarah Bishop was also accused because 2 years prior, the Trask family, who was just like a family that lived in town, got into a physical altercation with her in which the child began to have seizures, and then later the mother killed herself by stabbing herself in the neck.
Okay. It's a creative way to kill yourself. I gotta hand it to her.
So they brought Briget Bishop into the court. They found her guilty because of her prior charges of witchcraft. And she was the first person hanged for the Salem witch trials.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Okay. So her life was just kind of like messy and slutty, and I love that for her.
So many of these women that we were talking about today are either like basically this picturesque version of piousness or a slut.
A slutty slut.
And I think it is very much kind of bimbo summit. You're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't.
Oh my God. It's
they are the bimbo
virgin
summit.
or the whore.
Well, yeah, exactly. Where it's like you can either be literally like a virtuous old woman who everyone loves and you still get hanged for witchcraft, or you can be a slutty slut and still get hanged for
slutty slut.
So if you're going to be punished anyway, you might as well have some fun.
Yeah, you might as well be a slutty slut.
Yeah. Now let's talk about Rebecca Nurse.
Love her.
Now,
she's pious.
She's motherfucking pious.
Motherfucking pious.
She's in her 70s, and the reason she's of note is basically because her hanging, spoiler alert, we've talked about it on the podcast before, also with history, kind of marked the beginning of the end of the Salem witch trials, because once she was found guilty, it was enough for people around to be like, that's really fucked up.
Yeah, because everyone was kind of like rolling their eyes of like, why would you like kill this woman?
Exactly. Like they were upset because she was like a town staple and everyone loved her. So as before,
be like killing Betty White.
It's basically that, where it's like before they were hanging sluts and everyone was fine with that.
Yeah, everyone was like, these are sluts,
but she's
and
a
boring,
slut.
ugly woman.
Exactly. But then once you hang Betty White,
yeah, you've hung Grandmama.
Then everyone's like, well, okay.
Like, well, we actually kind of liked her.
Yeah,
she's kind of nice to me.
So that's why.
Okay.
So I'll walk you through.
So she's
Rebecca
kind of iconic.
Nurse. She is kind of iconic.
Yeah. Rest in peace.
Honestly, may she rest.
May she rest, icon.
Yes.
Love you.
So she was in her 70s, ill and hard of hearing.
Oh no.
And that was before the Salem witch trials.
Oh no.
And she was an upstanding community member, a midwife, and a Christian woman.
Okay.
So she helped deliver many of the babies in the town. And one of the theories—
the babies turned against her.
Exactly. And isn't that just the way? That's motherhood. That's like the giving tree.
It really is. That is the giving tree. Where it's like, now you're a stump.
You're a stump. You're
and
a
everyone's
hang
crying.
stump.
You're a hang stump.
What kind of children's book is that, by the
That's
way?
actually crazy.
That's a really, really
it's
depressing
so
fucking
dark.
book. It's just being like,
so dark.
And it's so like guilty. I became a mother and I'm a tree and my child takes and takes and takes until I'm a stump. It's like, okay, you didn't have to become a mother.
You actually didn't. You also just could have said no. Could have set some boundaries. You could have said go to your father.
Said, honestly, it's a cautionary tale. Shel Silverstein's The Giving Tree is a cautionary tale about not setting boundaries.
And we should actually probably raise children in communities.
Yes, as you've said.
As I've said, that children need more than one or two adults to base everything they do off of. Weird. Stop being weird.
Now, one of the theories about Rebecca Nurse was basically, sorry, I got a text from Jagmeet Singh.
Oh my God, you know him?
I'm reaching out because we want you to volunteer with us.
Do it.
No.
I worked an election once and it was kind of fun, but they did pay me.
I know. So well, I used to campaign, but I really don't want to go door to door anymore.
No.
Whoa.
I hate getting door knockers. I got to be honest.
No, and I know. I feel the same way. I'm like, sorry, no.
Because I can't really like stop talking to them. You know, this is my problem where it's just like they'll come to my door and they'll be like, hi, I love your hair. And I'm like, I love your hair too. And they're like, do you vote for the NDP? I'm like, yep, love them. And they're like, can you give us $100? I'm like, maybe.
Bye.
Bye.
My thing used to be, I would say I don't have a credit card.
Oh, but now you have a credit card.
Yeah, but I can just lie. They're not going to open my wallet and search for a credit card.
Do you need a credit card? I should have just been saying that.
Yeah.
Or I'll tell them, I'll be like, oh, I spent too much money this week. It's bad. And I put myself in a bad situation.
Okay.
I'm
How
really,
bad?
Yeah, like I'm not making rent. My phone bill's overdue. Like I've just been like oversharing, and they're looking over, seeing like my Sephora package on the door, and I'm like, yeah, it's really bad. It's really bad for me right now.
Yes. So, remember how you were talking about how all the Putnam children died?
Yes.
So they talk about this a little bit in The Crucible, but another theory as to why Rebecca Nurse was accused was because she was a midwife who delivered many babies, and a lot of the Putnam babies and children died.
Oh.
So in The Crucible, Goody Putnam is like she killed all of my babies, which is just full stop, like, not true. Like, the babies would grow, like, they'd be like 4 years old. Like, what the fuck does she have to do with that?
Well, she put a curse on them when they were born.
Another reason, she basically was done dirty by the Putnams, point blank.
That's rough.
Because her family was also one of the oldest, most respected families in Salem, like the Putnams.
So they wanted to take them down a little bit.
There was a land dispute.
Oh, no.
As there often is, where the barn that Rebecca lived in was on a parcel of land that was like a highly disputed parcel of land that the Putnams wanted it, whatever. Okay?
Okay.
So they accused her, and sometimes you want land so bad you murder a 70-year-old woman in cold blood, and that's valid.
And that's good.
That's actually valid.
That's actually valid, and that's understandable.
Yes.
Stay strong.
Now, the other reason the Putnams absolutely flop suck is that Anne Putnam Sr., the mother of the Putnam clan, started basically, she was the one that claimed that Rebecca Nurse was like haunting their house. She was sitting in a rocking chair in their house. She was paralyzing her. And I don't like to use the word Karen lightly because I do think it's overused.
Yeah.
But like when you hear about her, it's like she is a woman losing her mind in a Starbucks.
Absolutely.
Like she is the one that is taking the fact that there is no brown sugar cold brew.
Oh, yeah.
Personally.
She's pissed they've stopped making the shaken oat.
She's screaming at a 17-year-old.
Yeah, they're crying in front of her
and
openly.
she doesn't
won't
care.
Stop. She's just like keeps going harder and harder.
Yes.
She's like angry that her egg bites her cold in the middle, so she's calling the cops.
You know, exactly. She's like that picture of that woman like holding a pistol just like at a Black Lives Matter parade. Like she sucks. Anne Putnam Sr. menace to society.
Don't hate her.
And Anne Putnam Jr. had to learn it somewhere.
Yeah, for
sure. You know what I mean? So imagine little Karen cut, little haircut, like a spiky
Kate Gosselin.
Yeah, she got the Kate Gosselin
John and
chunky
Kate
highlight haircut.
Yeah,
okay,
yeah. And she looks hot.
No,
unfortunately, she looks really good.
In
my mind, she kind of looks like a hot lesbian.
I think she might. So when she was accused. Well, she's the kind of woman. She's the kind of woman that like is gay but is trapped.
Oh yes,
like
much like Jojo Siwa.
Yes, well, Jojo Siwa's out.
Well, she's out, but she still seems like she's closeted.
Honestly, that is so true, Blair.
We were talking about this, but it really just seems like she's not yet fully accepted that she's gay, and so she's performing it really hard in a way that's wrong.
Well, I relate to it so much because it just seems to be like a business venture that is the manifestation of when you first come out and you're like, I'm gay. It's like the first thing you say, and you're like, cool.
The first thing you say is, I'm gay.
I'm gay, by the way.
I'm gay, by the way, if you didn't know.
Exactly. Well, because she gives big ally in gay straight alliance meetings at school.
Absolutely.
Energy. And as we all know, the allies are the gayest ones.
The allies are always gay. Oh my God.
Allies are always like so gay.
Going to a GSA meeting being like, it's important that I'm here because I'm straight, so I'm really providing a voice that isn't here yet.
Okay. And is the straight person in the room with us?
Yeah. It's like, I love it here. I just love it. I love to support my friends.
I love
even though I think what you do is disgusting.
Yeah, I would never do it.
I would never do it. I would rather kill myself than do that. But I love being here as a friend and ally and watching But I'm a Cheerleader like once a month.
Oh my God. Yeah. No, and that's literally it. Like every single ally I know is now the gayest person I've ever met in my fucking life.
Yeah.
And fair.
And that's
the vibe I get from Jojo Siwa of being like, once you've kind of come into yourself, you're so excited to have finally like a label and be able to talk about it. But like you're somehow living more so the label than like the actual sexual orientation where you're not fucking women.
No.
You're just being like, I'm gay.
Jojo Siwa, I think
love Tegan and Sarah.
I love Tegan and Sarah shaded Jojo Siwa on a TikTok recently.
Wait,
Did you
really?
see? Yeah, because it was a clip where Jojo Siwa was like, I'm inventing a new genre called gay pop.
Oh,
and then it was just a clip of Tegan and Sarah like looking into the camera. I'm like, oh, you pissed off the lesbian twins, dude.
You
fucked up bad.
Honest to God.
You got adult twin lesbians mad at you now. You're never coming out of this alive.
I honestly think if Tegan and Sarah shaded me online, like my inner child would die so much.
Oh,
I would die. Like I would just physically die.
No, literally, Tegan and Sarah, there's something that's so like intrinsically like there's such like a part of who I am.
Exactly.
Where it's like I can't ever meet them.
It's same with Rose and Rosie, those lesbian YouTubers.
Oh, I don't know them.
Okay, so basically there's like when you look up like I'm
lesbian.
Gay. Yeah, I am lesbian on
look
YouTube.
Up the lesbian on
they
YouTube.
were like a lesbian couple who would just be like, they do like the couple tag because it was back when YouTube was like 3-minute videos being like, we're gonna play Chubby Bunny.
Oh, yes.
Or whatever. But they were both.
Bring it back.
Honestly, make my job a fuck ton easier.
I'm excited to come over to film the podcast and you're like, yep, just wrapping up my video. And that's just you editing you doing Chubby Bunny for 3 minutes by yourself.
And it's like that old kind of 2012, like, dun, 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 you know, that like ukulele background music in every single YouTube video.
Hi guys, my name's Carley and today I'm doing Chubby Bunny.
Tyler Oakley commented on one of my YouTube videos once and that was my Tegan and Sarah, where it's like, Tyler Oakley raised me. I love Tyler Oakley.
Oh my God.
Because I was gay, but I was like, I'm like a gay man. And it's like, no, Carley. No.
That's not how that works.
Yeah.
I know I used to say the same thing. I was like, it's like, I'm like a straight woman, but inside I have the heart of a gay man.
It's like, no, you're gay.
Yes, oh no, you're just a homosexual. Okay.
So we'll get back to this. Anyways, Jojo Siwa tangent aside.
I'm not done talking about Jojo Siwa, but I will interject at another time during us talking about these other important women in history.
Okay.
Though Jojo Siwa is probably number one.
Well, Jojo Siwa invented gay pop.
She invented gay pop.
And so, and you know who else invented gay pop? Rebecca Nurse.
Rebecca Nurse was in her bedroom dropping some lo-fi hip-hop beats.
Exactly. When she was accused because she was sick in bed.
She was sick in bed, but she was really sick in bed.
She was doing the Claro bedroom pop moment. Yeah. She was making a song on GarageBand.
Yeah, she was doing like, with your bags.
So the like Putnams or whatever, this is before they were like, let's go check and see, because people were saying that Rebecca Nurse is a witch, so let's go check up on it. She's sick in bed. They talk to her, and she expresses pity for the afflicted, but commented that she believed that some of the accused were innocent.
Okay.
And then they're like, funny you say that, because you're actually accused.
A witch, yeah.
And she wondered aloud what she had done that God should lay such an affliction on me in my old age.
Me AF.
I know.
Me AF when I get a hangover.
You're like, in my old age.
In my old age, God has laid such an affliction on me. It's me in bed at 3 p.m. with like a giant 7-Up.
God has laid such an affliction on me.
I like go up to the bathroom, puke for like 7 minutes straight.
Why in my old age has God laid such an affliction on me? So true.
It's powerful to be 28 years old.
It honestly is. I can't wait.
It's awesome.
Rebecca Nurse was then arrested on March 24th, and it came as a complete surprise to the citizens of Salem, because she's like the first person that they're like, wait
a minute.
She's not a slave or a person who was homeless.
Wait, stop that. Reverse it.
No. It's that Timothy Chalamet thing being like, listen up and sit down. Back that, scratch that, reverse it. Don't arrest Rebecca Nurse. We like her.
Timothy Chalamet lived in Salem. The witch trials stopped in their tracks.
I am doing a new fan cast, and I'm fan casting as John Hawthorne, the guy who ran all of the examinations for the witch trials, is Timothy Chalamet as Wonka.
Yes, no, I see it, and that's the vision.
You're a witch. That's kind of how he talks.
What you say.
Exactly.
Hi. A little cocoa bean might be precedent.
Exactly. That's literally how he fucking talks in that movie, and it's awesome.
Love it.
So, Nurse often criticized the afflicted girls for dabbling in fortune telling prior to the witch trials. She's a God-fearing, pious woman, a big character, like in the church, constantly there.
Love her.
And this is why everyone was like, what the fuck?
Yeah, like her.
So during her trial, the afflicted claimed they could see the devil whispering in her ear and familiars in the shape of birds flocking around the room.
Okay.
This was because one time they were like, basically, it wasn't this, but they were like, witch say what? And then because she's deaf, she was like, what? And then they were like, oh, the devil's whispering in her ear.
That's the devil, actually. Dude,
basically what they
poor
did.
Woman.
They mocked her movements, which I feel like if you're mocking an old woman in court, as the judge, I would simply be like, maybe I'm the bad guy.
They're doing like an old lady walk, like, oh, this. Oh, it's so hard for you, Rebecca. Is it because there's a fucking bird eating your ear?
That's you, bitch.
Yeah, that's you. You look fucking stupid, Rebecca.
Exactly. Like, that's what they were doing.
Becky with the good hair.
Bleh.
Kill yourself.
Ann Putnam Sr. I gotta stop. Sorry, I like leave a pregnant pause so Rob can edit around it. But it seems like I'm like, yeah.
No, and I know that you are. You don't have to pretend like you're not doing that.
During the examination, Ann Putnam Sr. shouted at her and then became paralyzed, and her husband had to carry her out of the courtroom.
Ann Putnam?
Yes, senior, not junior.
Okay.
Which is what I'm saying. I'm like,
this girl.
Somebody has done that in a Starbucks because their egg bites are cold. They're like, I'm paralyzed.
I'm paralyzed. My legs don't work. My legs don't work.
Because my egg bites.
My egg bites. I haven't had my feta.
If only my bacon and cheese egg bites.
Only I had my cheese and my meat and my egg.
That's
and
like
a little bite-sized bite.
And to carry out your wife from the meeting house after she pretends to be paralyzed.
Oh, my keto diet.
Exactly. I'd be like, girl, chill out. But luckily for her, Thomas Putnam was more of a menace than she was. So
yeah.
When they asked her to explain why she paralyzed Ann Putnam Sr., Rebecca Nurse simply said, I am innocent as the child unborn.
Whoa.
Love. And
love her.
So then she was accused, went to prison, and a petition supporting Nurse was signed by 39 members of the community. And this was presented at her court, like her actual hearing.
Yeah.
Okay. So they do the hearing. She is found not guilty. They're like, she's not a witch. And then everyone in the court's like, wait a second. No.
Wait, we kind of wanted to show.
No. And the accused were like, blah, 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 my egg bites, whatever. So then the judge goes, wait, are you guys sure? And then they were like, never mind, she's guilty. Isn't that crazy?
That's insane.
Like, simply, that's just not how law works. You can't just be like, no, you're right, sorry.
Actually, we're kind of planning on doing this thing anyway, so we cool if it wasn't a problem.
Now, there's one reason that really, like, this argument of making her not guilty hinges upon that we'll get to when we talk about Abigail Hobbs.
Okay.
Because she does something in court, like in Rebecca Nurse's trial, that people think was one of the reasons they're like, actually, never mind, she's guilty. So we're going to talk about that later.
Okay. I'm intrigued.
Yes. So Nurse was executed on July 19th, 1692. Pretty close to my birthday.
It's kind of rude. I don't think my birthday.
It's my birth week for sure.
Kind of your birth week. It's kind of your time.
Mm-hmm.
It's fucked up.
Rebecca Nurse's sister, Mary Easty, was also hanged during the trials.
Yeasty.
Yeasty. That's why she was hanged, because she had a monster, wicked yeast infection.
Some bread down there.
Absolutely. A loaf of bread in her vagina.
That's the starter of the sourdough,
exactly.
let's just say.
Honestly, they kind of look similar, right?
I've never had a yeast infection.
Really?
But one time I was convinced that I did have a yeast infection. And so my roommate gave me a tube of Canestin, and then I applied it like Vaseline every 5 minutes and gave myself chemical burns. I need to stop talking about my vagina on this podcast.
No, you don't. So
there's just so much more I want to say about this that I'm stopping myself from sharing anymore.
Speaking of Blair's vagina, according to local legend,
no one think about it.
Nurse's son, we're all thinking about it. Rebecca Nurse's son, Benjamin, secretly rowed a boat after nightfall to the execution site and claimed his mother's body, and they gave her a Christian burial at home.
Oh, that's beautiful. Mm-hmm. That's so sad. That actually makes me want to cry.
You think that's sad?
Oh, no. Fuck me.
Next, we're going to talk about Dorothy Good.
Oh, no.
Who is Sarah Good's daughter and imprisoned for witchcraft at 4 years old.
Jesus Christ. Okay.
Yeah. She doesn't die. I put a little asterisk by her name. I put a little asterisk in the notes by the people's names who didn't get hanged for witchcraft. She dies eventually because it's the 1600s. But,
no.
You know.
Like of old age?
I assume. I don't know. Didn't get that far.
I'm really stressed out.
So witchcraft was considered hereditary and ran in families. So when Sarah Good was arrested, her 4-year-old daughter, Dorothy Good, was also imprisoned for witchcraft.
Oh, God. Okay.
Now, they brought her to jail, and then she was, like, examined by not the ministers.
The magistrates?
Yes, thank you.
Oh, I can't believe it.
That was really great.
Pulled that out of my head.
She was examined by the magistrates in prison and admitted to being a witch because she's 4. So
what's she gonna?
She's in jail, and
probably knows 7 words, and one of them is yes.
Yeah, exactly. She's just like, sure.
Are you a witch? Yeah.
Well, also like when you're a kid, if somebody was like, "Are you a witch?" and you went no, and they were like, "Come on, are you a witch?" You'd be like, "Sure." I don't like. You just say literally whatever. You don't understand what you're saying.
No, especially if it's like an adult.
Yeah.
Like you're meant to trust them.
Exactly.
That's so sad.
So on March 3rd, 1692, Ann Putnam Jr. testified. This is a direct quote. I saw the apparition of Dorothy Good, Sarah Good's daughter, who did immediately almost choke me. Almost. Okay.
With her tiny baby hands? What the hell?
I don't know.
This is Ann Putnam still?
Yes. And tortured me most grievously. And so she hath several times since torturing me by biting and pinching and almost choking me, tempting me to also write in her book. And on the day of her examination, the apparition of Dorothy Good tortured me during the time of her examination and several times since. And get a grip.
Okay.
So yeah, she told the magistrates that her mother was a witch, and that she was also a witch. And I wrote that this was because she was 4 years old and also in prison. So probably just saying whatever. And she was in custody from March 24th, 1692 to December 10th, 1692.
Oh my God.
And she was never charged because she was a child. But they kept her there until her father could pay the £50 bail.
Oh my God.
I know.
That's a nightmare.
I know.
Why are they mean?
They're insane.
This is nuts.
Yes.
I'm sorry. To a child?
I know.
Come on.
And then by all accounts, or by some accounts afterwards, she went insane, which fair.
Yeah, I would.
Same.
Personally.
I'm basically insane and nothing like that has ever happened to me.
As a baby.
And whenever you look her up, there's no pictures of her because it's an old timey thing, but they just have a bunch of fake black and white like AI images of a child behind bars.
Oh my God.
It's really scary.
She like one of those like TikToks where it's like, I was imprisoned as a 4-year-old in the Salem witch trials, and it's like an AI face talking.
Exactly.
Do you know the videos
That's
I'm talking
Dorothy
about?
Good.
That's horrifying.
Yes. It's awful.
Okay.
Now moving on
keeps getting
to
worse.
Well, now we're moving on to Elizabeth Proctor.
Okay.
Who I didn't really want to include because, to be honest, she's really boring. Like
I'm also like, and
we've had enough of the Proctors.
We've talked so much about the Proctors because the Proctors are the stars of the Crucible.
Yes.
And
it's hard to find stuff about her online. Because every time you look up Elizabeth Proctor, it's like Spark Notes. What Elizabeth Proctor's character means.
I know. I found this with John Proctor too, where it's just like there's so much stuff written about like John Proctor just meaning the character.
Yeah.
So you kind of have to really look at the sources.
Exactly. Like, I don't care about this. I read the play. I want to know what she was like. Mm-hmm. So she was 32 and probably
hot age.
Sexy
it's
age.
Hot. Okay, it's hot. It's hot to be 30. It's hot to be 32. It's not hot to be 31.
31 is a rough.
31's rough. 33 is good. 34 is hot.
Really?
I think 34 is hot. 35 is like a mature, respectful age.
Yes.
And then 36, slut hot.
No, I agree. I think the closer somebody in their 30s gets to 40, the more they have a mental breakdown and they go through a slut phase again.
Yeah, I think it's that. And then like 38's really pivotal where it's either you're the hottest and sluttiest and most amazing you're ever going to be in your life.
Or you've lost the plot.
Or you've lost the plot. It's really dark for you.
Yes, especially with men, I find. Like a man at 38 is either like, I love my wife. Or they're like, they've lost their mind.
They're like my dick is bending into new shapes.
Exactly. Like they are not
They're
on
not
this
okay.
plane.
They're not here. They're passing. Most 38-year-old women I know are really hot. They're in their sexual prime. And
Definitely.
They're amazing and beautiful. They're the most beautiful they've ever been in their life.
And a lot of times 38-year-old men were like, just got released from the psychological ward.
Yes. I just got released. I thought you were going to say the war. And I was like, yeah.
Honestly.
But I do think that like different ages have hotness. Like I don't think the 26 is very hot, but I think 27 is the hottest age
27
of your 20s.
is very, very hot.
I think 27 is the hottest age in your 20s.
I don't feel as though 24 has been that hot.
24 is a lead up to 25, which is a hot age.
And I think 23 is hot.
23 is hot. You dip in 26.
Yep.
27, you come out really supreme. 28 is the mature, respectful age
vibing.
of your 20. And then 29, I think, is really hot and sexy again.
Yes.
Real slutty age. And then 30 is like, oh, you really peak, you hit a thing, but you're also kind of having a meltdown.
Somebody should make a chart of this.
I'm going to write this down. And I'm about to shake the world. I'm submitting to Cosmopolitan magazine.
Honestly, you should write for Cosmo. I think it'd be really good for you.
Cosmo.
I mean, I feel like their staff now, because print is dead, is literally 4 women drinking martinis in like a basement in Queens.
I should honestly have a think piece. It's just how I gave myself chemical burns on my vagina for Cosmopolitan.
Well, okay, so I love a magazine, so I am subscribed to Cosmopolitan.
I love that.
And they've done this like thing that Teen Vogue has also done, where it's like it's like jeans for summer. Don't be surprised. And then the next article is like, these pilgrim women were raped. And there's nothing that's more being a woman in the modern day, like that. There's nothing that exemplifies that experience more than being like metallic eyeshadow, just like Zendaya. And also, men are poking holes in condoms. Watch out. Like, it's like the most horrific things you can imagine, coupled with fashion tips.
Oh, it's like talking to my mother where she'll be like, I just ordered a new sweater from Amazon. It's adorable and sparkly. And also, did you hear about the shooting yesterday?
Yes.
There's something wrong in the brains of Americans. I'm like, okay.
What do I address first?
I'm like, where do we start? A sweater looks great.
I have a screenshot of a text from my mom. She had like texted me like basically one after the other, where she sent me a picture of a skirt and she was like, love this skirt. Think it would look so good on you. And then the next text is, there's a man shoving women into his van in Toronto. Be careful.
That's literally what it's like talking to like, especially older women, like our mother's generation.
Because they're online way too much. Like, or they're seeing these horrors too much. I'm like, Mom, you need to get off CP24.
My mom listens to CNN like ASMR. It's awful. And I was like, me and my sister are both like, you have to, like, the way you talk is horrifying now. Like, it's so hard to talk to you because you're just dropping the most traumatic news story that you've heard all day.
I know.
And then just like a sad fact about your past that you've never brought up before now, coupled with just like a new store you like.
I know.
It's a nightmare.
I remember when my nanny, my grandmother, came for Christmas before she had died, obviously.
After she had died, that's Witch.
That would be fucking awesome.
Witch in the Trials of Witch.
And we were just like talking about stuff, and I was like, oh my God, like I remember I have such fond memories of when you would take me to that store in Dorval, and it was like a Pokemon card store, and we could trade Pokemon cards, and I could buy Pokemon cards. And she was like, did you know the son of the couple that owned that store shot them both dead? And I was like, that's not how we talk to each other. Also, no, I didn't know that.
I would have known that. Yeah.
And I can't wait for that to be me.
Oh, I already feel myself doing it sometimes.
Yeah.
Where I'm just like, I'll literally be like, I'm just dying to go thrifting. I really think I'll have some good finds. Then like in the middle of the store, I'll just be like, so we're all going to die.
Yeah.
So this was someone's prized possession once, and now I'm buying it for $3.
We're rotting.
Yeah. Like they're rotting in the ground. Life is hell. We're going to get shot. Like,
yes. That's just the reality of womanhood, I think.
Yeah.
Let's get back to Elizabeth Proctor.
Oh yeah, sorry. We'll go back.
Now, we said she was probably accused as retaliation because in the beginning of the Salem witch trials, John Proctor was quite publicly saying that he didn't believe the accused. Mm-hmm. One of the accusers was Mary Warren, who was the Proctor's servant. Mm-hmm. Abigail Williams, who was another one of the primary accusers, was formerly the Proctor's servant, and she was fired.
Okay.
She was 11. I say that because in the Crucible, she's 17. Mm-hmm. We're going to talk about that a little bit. But basically, Proctor was like, I beat my servant, Mary Warren. Cool guy thing to say.
Awesome.
I beat her until she admitted that she was lying about the witch trials. And she said that everyone else was lying. And now I've tied her to the weaving wheel, and she will do that. And then Mary later, of course, posted on the message board my favorite Salem witch trial fucking moment, where she posts a little message on the message board because she's a 21-year-old girl and she's iconic, being like, guys, thank you so much for praying for me. I'm fine now, not afflicted anymore. And then the other girls, as retaliation, are like, well, you're a fucking witch then.
You're actually a witch.
So they probably also accused Elizabeth Proctor as some sort of retaliation. But also, as we know, it's like a lot of just like the women in town. And if you were in some way tangentially related to these girls, like you're basically cooked.
Yeah, you're done.
So to be one of the bosses of one of the girls and like a former boss of another girl, Elizabeth didn't stand a chance. Okay.
Oh, God. Okay.
So on April 4th, the first formal complaint was filed against Elizabeth. And then on August 5th, she was sentenced to hang, but her execution was stayed because she was pregnant.
She's pregnant. So she was a lot younger than John Proctor then.
John was in his 60s.
And she was
That's
32.
why we cast him as Jerry Seinfeld in the beginning, because Jerry Seinfeld dated that 17-year-old who he met on the park bench, which is just a lie.
That's not how you meet people.
No.
No one meets on benches.
Oh, you admit you talk to teenagers on park benches?
That's crazy. Why are you doing that?
No.
You shouldn't be there.
No.
Go home.
Go home,
Go
Jerry.
home, Dad.
Yeah, exactly.
Get out of here, Grandpa.
So he was 60, she was 32. On January 27th, she gave birth to John Proctor III. And by then, like, the Salem witch trials,
three of them?
I know.
Jesus Christ.
They're multiplying.
Oh, God.
And John Proctor tried to get his execution stayed, and they said, absolutely not.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I talked before about how Abigail Williams, one of the main accusers, was a former employee, kind of servant of the Proctors. We talked about this in The Crucible because she's the main character in The Crucible and she's aged up to be 17. Ugh. And it was said that when she was working with the Proctors, she and John Proctor had on an affair, which loosely translates to he was an adult man and he statutory raped her.
Okay, awesome.
17 is sexy and dateable. Let's say that.
It's actually cool.
It's actually good.
It's cool and it's good and it's fine.
In actual life, she was 11. And there's no proof, period, that her and John Proctor ever had an affair.
Yeah, and it would not be called an affair. Let's get that straight.
Well, like, what do they call it when Woody Allen has sex with his adopted daughter, right?
They called it Annie Hall, baby.
Muse.
It's
crazy he's just around, right? Yeah, like, that's insane.
It's kind of nuts. Yeah, he's finagled things in a way that's shocking.
Yeah, I've talked about that Roman Polanski thing where he couldn't go to the Cannes Film Festival because of his crimes, because he's a pedophile.
Because of the crimes.
Yeah, because one of his films was premiering at Cannes and he couldn't go and talk about it because he's a criminal and he would simply be extradited.
Yeah.
I think that's it. Or he's in France. So there's something about that. I don't know why, but he couldn't go on account of being extradited. This is boring to you.
No, I'm sorry.
No, I'm kidding.
I'm yawning because it opens up my vocal passageways.
Aww. The producer was basically doing the talk back because it was during the actor strike, so none of the actors could talk. And
they
Roman
shouldn't.
Polanski is a pedophile. They were like, well, how do you feel about producing a film by Roman Polanski? Like, that's ethically gray. And by ethically gray, I mean,
wrong.
He's a pedophile.
Yeah.
And the producer was like, well, it's the 70s. And if everybody was held accountable for what they did in the 70s like Roman was, we'd all be in his shoes. And everyone was like, what
the fuck did you do in the 70s,
Wait,
man?
Don't admit. Did he just say?
Wait, what?
Did he just say he's a...
Did you just admit to being also a pedophile?
On mic?
That's crazy.
Yeah.
People say the craziest things.
Yes. So I read basically a essay that Arthur Miller wrote for The New Yorker in which he explains himself writing The Crucible and why he thinks that Abigail Williams and John Proctor had an affair.
Okay.
So this is a direct quote on why he thinks that 11-year-old Abigail Williams and 60-year-old John Proctor had an affair. And I want you to tell me if that makes sense to you.
Okay, I'm ready. I'm excited.
In this remarkably observed gesture of a troubled young girl, this is in reference to there's a moment in Proctor's examination where Abigail Williams raises her hand to slap him, but then doesn't.
Okay.
In this remarkably observed gesture of a troubled young girl, I believed a play became possible. Elizabeth Proctor had been the orphaned Abigail's mistress, and they lived together in the same small house until Elizabeth fired the girl. By this time, I was sure John Proctor had bedded Abigail, who had to be dismissed most likely to appease Elizabeth. There was bad blood between the two women now. That Abigail started, in effect, to condemn Elizabeth to her death with her touch, then stopped her hand, then went through with it, was quite suddenly the human center of the turmoil. So I misspoke. There was a moment in Elizabeth Proctor's examination where Abigail Williams raises her hand to slap her, stops, and then slaps her anyway. And Arthur Miller saw that and went, oh, your husband fucked this child.
Saying that there's bad blood between the two women when one is 32 years old and one is 11 is fucking mental illness, love. As mental illness, love. Like, can you imagine if I just like go into a schoolyard and start beefing a child and I'm like,
there's bad blood between
us two women. Between us two women, they're like skip, jump, roping, double dutching, and I'm like, bitch, you stole my man.
Yeah.
She's like, I'm a child.
It's also so like that is such a this is such a way in which our like perspectives have changed in the modern day of being like, she stole his man, and everyone's like, why the fuck did he do that? Like now we'd be like, send him to jail.
Yeah, prison.
Yeah.
Prison. Behind bars.
John Proctor, you're going to hang.
John Proctor, you're getting hung.
But I just thought that section was so funny because I was like, oh, answered none of my questions.
Yeah,
I genuinely don't understand how you got there at all. And not only that, now I'm concerned that you fucked an 11-year-old because your mind went there.
I'm also just like, do we know what an 11-year-old looks like? Like, that's the first Harry Potter movie.
No,
like,
exactly.
What the fuck?
That's the first Harry Potter movie.
That's number one Harry Potter. Harry Potter first. First Harry Potter, Daniel Radcliffe
the Sorcerer's
under the stairs,
Stone
11 years
or
old.
the Philosopher's Stone.
in Canada and England.
Yes.
It's crazy. What the hell? 11 years old? Like, come on.
I really thought that was quite insane.
No, that's not.
But I wanted to share it because I thought it was quite interesting because I do think for the actual play, The Crucible, making it about that is quite interesting. We talked about this. I love the character of Abigail Williams. She's a fucking menace.
But going like, I'm basing this off of the real 11-year-old Abigail Williams because she tried to slap an older woman and immediately I went, this is about sex.
I know. And it's like to be like, fine, I'll make her 17. Like, girl.
I guess, even though it's a way weird old hag
I'll make her an old maid.
Yeah, an old 17-year-old maid. Her ovums are probably shriveled and dead.
Oboes.
Did I say oboes? I thought I said
it's really funny. Really made me laugh.
Her oboes.
When I read Pamela DeBar's book, I'm with the band. And she talked about how like all of the younger groupies who were like 13 were like, you're old, you're an old hag, you're 19. I was like, Jesus Christ.
God, that's rough.
All of these rock stars should be in jail. Like that is disgusting.
But to be fair, showing up at like a Much Music video dance at like 19 years old, like, yeah, you are the hag. Get out of there. Sorry that Led Zeppelin wants a 13-year-old and you're kind of ruining the vibe by being legal age.
No, I think what's ruining the vibe is that Led Zeppelin wants a 13-year-old.
No, for sure. But I'm also just saying we should
read
hold the women accountable for being ugly old hags.
I agree. If you're an ugly old hag, sound off in the comments.
Yeah, sound off in the comments, ugly old hags.
Yes. Okay, we'll move on to the next one.
We should Hag Nation.
Hag Nation, rise up.
Hag Nation, rise up.
So Martha Carrier, our queen, Queen of Hell herself.
I love Queen of Hell.
72. She was the first person to be a hot age, the first person to be accused of witchcraft in Andover, the nearby town. You'll also remember Andover as being one of the places where one of the dogs was shot.
Oh, I remember Andover and over and over again.
I don't know why that really got me.
This is awesome.
So I loved reading about her life before she was accused of being a witch. So when she moved to Massachusetts.
When she was a mere princess of hell.
Exactly. Just a princette of hell. She lived with her sister and her sister's husband, Roger Toothaker. Now you might remember Roger Toothaker.
Not Roger Toothaker.
We talked about him in the overview episode.
Oh my God.
Because he used to read palms. And he was accused of being a witch and died in prison.
Okay.
And
was it from a toothache?
Honestly, I have in my brain that it's from a toothache, but I'm almost 100% positive I've made that up.
He was named retroactively.
Yes, exactly.
Like, this guy's named Roger. What did he die from? Toothache?
Yeah.
Roger Toothaker.
Yeah, exactly. So that's he died in prison. And he was one of the people in the Salem witch trials that died in prison. Just kind of a little, everybody's connected.
Bummer.
So they lived together in Billerica. Don't know where that is.
Okay.
Sounds great.
And I believe you.
It was there that Martha met Thomas Carrier, a 7'4" Welshman, 20 years her senior.
Pardon me?
I know.
7'4"?
Is he single?
What? No way he's 7'4".
7'4" Welshman, 20 years older than her. She's so me for this. Like, this is basically just like a little bit less Reese. You know what I mean? He's got a Welsh name.
Yeah.
He's 6'4".
Yeah.
He's 5 years older than me. I'm just doing what she's doing a little less. I'm the princess of hell.
She's like the better.
If it was in Salem,
princess of hell, she's queen of hell.
Exactly.
Yeah.
If I was in the olden days, it would suck. But you know what would make it better? A 7'4" Welshman, 20 years my senior.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Absolutely. But anyways, they got married in 1674. But in 1676, they were asked to leave town. And there were a couple of rumors and reasons as to why this. It could have been
fine. Ruining door frames.
He just kept smashing his head.
Smashing his head. Destroying the structure of houses.
Absolutely. Surely he slept on the ground. Like, they did not have a bed for him. You know what I mean?
7'4".
It was rumored to be possibly financial troubles, the fact that they had premarital sex, Martha's aggressive behavior towards her family, towards her neighbors. Honestly, if I met a 7'4" Welshman, 20 years my senior, girl, sign me up for the premarital sex. And then there was also a rumor that Thomas was a headsman who executed Charles I of England before coming over.
Oh my God.
Which seems more so just like anti-Welsh sentiment in the colonies.
That's true. For sure they hated the Welsh.
Oh, for sure. They're like, they didn't even know where Wales was. They're like, that's England?
England? Was that an island? Is
that
an animal? You guys all lived on the back of a humpback whale?
Weird. Like, they don't know. You know, they don't. Wales isn't in the Bible. They don't know. So they just think that he's executed a king.
Or like Cardiff, more like as if.
Fuck. Let's wrap this up.
I'm on fire today.
We're not going to get better than that. So they moved to Andover. And in 1690, there was a smallpox outbreak where none of the Carrier children, Thomas or Martha, died. So nobody in the Carrier family died.
That's good.
But several people in Andover did die from smallpox. So this got people really mad at Martha. This is probably where the witchcraft allegations kind of started.
Oh, so she like put a protective spell on her children.
Exactly.
And cursed all the other ones.
Yes. She would also argue with her neighbors and they would claim that afterwards their livestock would suffer. There was one man who tried to like get on her land, if that makes sense, like move his land barrier onto her land. And afterwards, he got sores and swollen feet, along with several of his cattle dying, which is like probably a lie, but it's fun to think about. Like, it's the olden days. Surely you have sores.
Yeah.
That's not new.
I have like probably a sore.
Also known as Tuesday in Salem, you know, like
the day we all have sores.
Exactly. It's sore day. So on May 31st, Martha was arrested for witchcraft after an 11-year-old in Andover said that they saw her specter and her specter tried to get her to sign the devil's book.
Okay.
And this was while the child was running an errand for their mother.
Cool.
And what I love about this is my theory is that, you know, when your mother would give you an errand as a child and you would fuck it up?
Yeah.
Or like she'd come home and she told you to clean the kitchen and you didn't. And then
she
she pulls into the driveway.
The chicken?
Yes. No, this is that.
Fuck.
She asked you to defrost the chicken when you got home from school and you forgot.
Yeah.
And then you feel her pulling into you hear her pulling into the driveway.
And like, oh no.
Martha Carrier Specter was here.
Yeah. She actually came in. She cursed it.
The chicken. That's my theory. That's what happened. You know?
Mm-hmm.
So in late July, Martha's eldest sons were arrested for witchcraft. And in prison, they were tortured until they confessed. John Proctor said they were, quote, tied neck and heel so the blood was ready to come out their noses.
Oh my God.
And they also arrested her 10-year-old son and 7-year-old daughter. Her daughter admitted that to signing the devil's book because her mom made her. And I wrote, but she's also 7, so IDK, man. Again, like being like the 7-year-old said this. It's like, yeah dude.
Okay, she's 7.
But everyone
saying anything.
Everyone in the Carrier family admitted to witchcraft when they were accused, except for Martha.
Okay, interesting.
She was sentenced to death on August 5th and hanged on August 19th.
Oh no.
Yes,
that sucks.
Another Martha Corey. Giles Corey's
hoe
/ side piece / wife. Just his wife.
Side piece / wife.
You can be a side piece and a wife.
You can be a side piece.
Isn't that what Ariana Grande says? I'm a wifey, but you can hit it like a side piece or something like that.
And good for her.
And that's Martha Corey.
And I'm with her.
Absolutely. So Martha Corey was 72.
So she's kind of the Ariana Grande of this. And I'm picturing her as Ariana Grande.
Big ass ponytail.
She's like, more weight. I
wrote that she was the wife of Giles crushed to death Corey. And she was an outcast. We talked about this earlier in I think one of the earlier episodes. But this was most likely because in 1677, she gave birth to a mixed-race son named Benjamin who was still living in Salem at the time.
Oh. Okay.
So, I mean,
interesting.
They're not going to take that well. But he was living and vibing in Salem.
Good for him.
Where's the memoir? I would love to read more about Benjamin's life.
He for sure had an insane life.
Exactly.
That I'd love to know about.
Get him on Scrivener so he can start writing his memoir. Okay? Penguin Random House?
Yeah.
5-book deal.
Get him on Wattpad.
Absolutely. Get him on Wattpad.
Deal, dude. Wattpad sponsorship. Hashtag ad.
Absolutely. Hashtag ad. Wattpad sponsorship. We're not paid, but we'd love to be.
Love to Wattpad.
Wattpad?
Hey.
I've done it again. I've left too big of a pause, and now it seems like I'm being passive aggressive.
No, it's fine.
In 1684, she married Henry Rich of Salem, and they had a child together, and Henry died around 1686. And then in 1690, she married Giles Corey.
Okay.
She was his third wife.
Whoa.
Giles Corey was a wealthy farmer, and he had a bad reputation.
He was a piece of shit.
Because he murdered a farmhand. He was convicted of this.
Yes.
But he just had to pay a fine. But people in the village saw this as being a bribe. Like, they're like, oh, he just, not only did he murder his farmhand, he bribed his way out of it.
Well, because didn't they say something crazy? Like, it was like excessive force.
Yeah, they're like, he didn't mean. Yeah, it was.
It wasn't murder.
He just hit him in the head.
Force. He just hit him in the head a bunch until he died.
Yes.
It wasn't intentional.
Yes.
It's all about the intent.
It's all about intent. Martha and Giles were some of the first people to attend the examinations when the Salem witch trials started.
And that checks out. For sure, they're first in line.
Absolutely. Popcorn. They have the Slimer Ghostbusters Frozen Empire Cineplex popcorn bucket.
Yeah.
They've got the
they're
Dune
ready.
popcorn bucket.
They're sat.
But pretty soon into the examinations, Martha expressed doubts and she didn't believe that the court was fair.
Okay.
Big mistake in Salem, obviously.
Yeah, that's rough. You can never do that.
And she wanted Giles to stop attending the examinations as well, and he didn't listen.
No, he was like, I'm having the amazing time.
Well, he was also like 80 years old. Like, if this happened, the 80-year-olds would be out in droves. Like,
100%.
There's not a lot for them to do.
No.
So, like, you're going to go to it's like why whenever you attend a movie at 11 a.m., it's you and the old people. They're like, it's this or stare at the wall in my house. So she hid Giles' saddle to stop him from attending the examination. And when this rumor kind of spread around, they were like, oh, she's protecting the witches.
Hiding a saddle is a really funny thing to do.
It's like hiding the car keys. I don't know where the saddle went.
You actually can't go.
I don't know where it went.
I don't know where I was here when I checked.
Yes. So when they heard of this and she was kind of accused by the afflicted, Thomas Putnam, went to see if she and talked to her about her being a witch.
Mm-hmm.
But they thought to get her, what they would do first is they would talk to Ann Putnam Jr., who was claiming to be tortured by her, because Ann Putnam Jr. was claiming to be tortured by everyone.
Yes.
And be like, well, what is she wearing? And then if they go to her house and she's wearing the same thing, that's fucking proof somehow.
Oh, and for sure they all had two outfits.
That's what I'm saying.
Like it was a 50-50 shot. Like church wear or like regular day wear.
Yeah, she's wearing a frock. There.
Yeah. Frock.
Got him.
Frock. Oh, frock. And you're frocked.
But Ann Putnam Jr. was not smart.
She got frocked.
She got frocked. So she said, oh, she's blinding me. I can't see what she's wearing. Me when I lie.
She's blinding me. Okay.
What is she wearing? I don't know.
Like my friends like, do you like my outfit? And I'm like, oh, I can't see it. My contacts are fucked. I can't see your outfit.
Blinded. I don't know. But they went to see her anyway. They went to Martha Carrier. Now, rumors had spread through the town, and Giles Corey had heard that Putnam planned on asking Anne what Martha was wearing.
Okay.
So Giles knew of this whole kind of ruse, and he told Martha. So when they knocked on the Corey's door, she answered the door by saying, I know what ye are coming for. Ye are come to talk with me about me being a witch. And she was very smug about this. Like, she's like, I know. But they don't respond well to that.
Because they're like, how did you know if you're not a witch?
Yes. And then when Ann Putnam was brought up, Martha said, but does she tell you what clothes I have on? Smug again.
Whoa.
And again, this is because she's trying to be like, I know what the fuck you're doing. But they're like, oh, she's a fucking witch. Like, she is.
So here's the proof.
She's reading minds, okay? So a warrant goes out for her arrest, but it goes out. This all happened on a Saturday, so she basically has one day off before Monday when they can arrest her, because you're not allowed to issue an arrest warrant on the Sabbath.
Oh, okay.
So what do you do if you're a messy bitch? You go to church.
Oh, that's
so they
awesome.
all know that she's an accused witch, and she just absolutely clip-clops in her Louboutins and sits in the parish and is like, I'm still a member of the church. Like, I haven't been excommunicated yet.
That's awesome.
Causes drama. And then the next day, she is arrested.
Dude.
Very, very iconic.
She's so cool.
Yes. So she was arrested on March 19th. On March 24th, Giles testified against Martha. Men will do anything but go to therapy, I guess.
That's actually crazy.
Yes.
Because he was like, I still haven't found my saddle.
He's like, I don't know where the saddle went.
I don't know.
And he had testified that he didn't tell her for some fucking reason. I don't know what's going on with him. But he was like, I didn't tell her that the Putnams were coming and about Ann Putnam's clothes. But Martha's like, you literally did.
Okay, little freak.
Mm-hmm. And on September 9th, 1692, Martha was sentenced to death. And on September 22nd, she was hanged.
Oh, no.
Okay.
Oh, that's too bad.
We have some more little ones now that we haven't actually really talked about, but I just thought that their stories were kind of interesting.
Okay, I'm excited.
So Martha Bradbury was 77. She was accused on May 26th, 1692. And on July 2nd, she was questioned in town hall. Now, I wanted to talk about her because for her, a big thing was it was claimed that she could turn into animals.
That's awesome. McGonagall.
Absolutely. And it was said that her most favorite form to take was that of a blue boar.
What?
Like a boar.
Like a pig?
A blue pig. Which is just like, these children are lying. Like, this is just, that's what kids would say.
She's a blue pig and she attacked me.
Well, better hang her.
There's the blue pig.
Yeah. And
That's
also it was said that
awesome.
she would cast spells upon ships.
Okay.
Sure.
Me too.
While her examination was happening, Ann Putnam Jr. claimed that a ghost had entered the courthouse and said that Bradbury had killed her as well. Being like, the ghost was
Okay.
like, she killed me.
That's awesome.
And I just wanted to bring this up because it's like, these examinations were fucking chaos.
That's awesome.
It's somebody's getting their jalapeno poppers and their beer because they're taking place in the pub.
Yeah.
And also, Ann Putnam Jr. is like, there's a ghost here saying you killed him. And somebody else is like, she's a blue pig.
That's amazing.
Like, insane. And you're like, you're on the stand and you're like, oh my God, I'm going to die because of this. What's happening?
That's fucking crazy.
On July 22nd, my birthday.
Happy
Fucking
birthday.
rude. Yes. 18-year-old Richard Carrier, son of the Queen of Hell,
Love him.
said that Bradbury was present at a satanic baptism.
Okay, never mind.
Which I would
Don't love
imagine is
him.
like the equivalent of that scene in Sleep No More. Have you done Sleep No More?
No.
It was one of my favorite things I've ever seen. But there's a big scene where 3 characters get naked and strobe lights happen and like a
Cool.
house music plays.
And that's the satanic
and
baptism.
it's like an orgy, and then they pull one of them gives birth to like a baby or whatever.
Cool.
But that's what that was. So she was in Sleep No More.
That's awesome.
115 neighbors signed a petition stating her good standing in the community for her trial. Like, so they did what they did
Cool.
with Rebecca Nurse, basically.
Okay.
But 115 people in total signed it, being like, she's not a witch. So they stayed her execution because of this, being like, we don't know. We got to review this. But it was stayed long enough that she survived the witch trials.
Oh, okay. Cool.
So we've learned our mistake
Good
from
for
Rebecca
her.
Nurse.
Good for her.
Never again.
Never again.
I also want to talk about Susanna Martin.
Okay.
And I want to talk about her because icon legend, your favorite Salem witch trials figure, Cotton Mattress.
Cotton Mattress. I love him.
Cotton
I hate
Mathers. He was a witness at her trial. And
Okay.
he wrote that Susanna Martin was one of the most impudent, scurrilous, wicked creatures in the world.
Oh, okay. Drag. Burn. Absolutely got her.
Yeah, exactly. She was examined on May 2nd. And I said by the whole crew, which I assume means that she was accused by like all the main players. By
whole crew.
Abigail Williams, Ann Putnam Jr., you know what I mean? She was convicted on June 29th and hanged on July 19th. The first complaints against her were by one Thomas Putnam, because the Putnams, they love the witch trials. They can't get enough of them. Her husband died and she was left very poor, and they had 8 children. So this led to her being in court constantly because she was trying to get access to her father's estate to get money because they had no money. She appeared in court a lot. She once called her neighbor a liar and a thief.
Good.
And she was accused of witchcraft twice before the witch trials.
Okay.
But both of the charges were dropped.
Okay.
Now, during her examination in the courthouse, or in the pub, she laughed in her accuser's face,
Amazing.
which me,
Me as hell.
and treated all of them with contempt.
Okay.
And when she was
love.
asked if she had any compassion for the afflicted, she replied, "No, I have none." So she's a motherfucking queen, and I love her.
Okay, she's amazing.
Yes, mama.
Slay, mama. We love you.
Slay. Now, kind of alternative to some of these other women, at her trial, anywhere from 9 to 24 neighbors showed up to testify against her.
Oh my God. Not 9 to 24. What a range.
What a range.
15 people may or may not have been there.
And we
But
can't
you know that
for
they
sure.
fucking hate you.
Yeah,
either
exactly.
way.
Exactly.
It's just whether they bothered to show up for your sorry ass.
They couldn't be bothered. Traffic was terrible.
Like, I'm not getting out of the house today.
not for Susanna Martin.
No, Susanna, bitch.
Now, they claimed that she had caused a man's oxen to drown themselves.
Okay, sure.
Her specter had stalked a farmhand.
That was me, actually. I was there.
Yeah, I was there.
I was there, and I
stalked a farmhand.
That happened.
That wasn't my specter. I was there.
I was
Boots on the
there.
ground.
I actually did that.
She had bitten a man's hand,
Awesome.
driven a neighbor mad, and had attended witch meetings.
And isn't that a week in the life?
Absolutely.
That's my vlog. That's like my aesthetic week in my life vlog.
Absolutely.
It's just me biting a man's hand.
and then causing oxen to drown.
Yeah. Like, hey guys, I think today I'm gonna cause like an oxen to drown. Then I might go like read in the park.
You're that girl. This is your that girl routine.
It's my that girl routine.
She's a clean girl.
yeah, and then
She's like Haley Road Bieber. Selena fans have shown up. Anywhere from 9 to 24 Selena fans showed up.
I'm doing my facial exercises.
Absolutely. You're gua sha.
Yeah, I'm gua shaing for 4 hours straight.
I would gua sha before my witch trial, just to be sure.
I just want to get the blood flowing. When they
asked her if she did any of these things, she just replied, I have led a most virtuous and holy life.
Good for her.
So I wanted to include her because I think she's just an absolute badass.
I love her.
Anytime a woman has the courage in the olden days to just be an absolutely rancid presence, I have no choice but to stan her. Like, that's fucking awesome.
No, that's cool. That's cool of her to do.
Yes.
We also have Anne Pudeator.
Pudeator.
P-U-D-E-A.
Pudeator. I barely know her.
Pudeator. Yeah, we're going to say Pudeator. She's 70 years old. On May 12th, Mary Warren claimed that Pudeator's specter had given her poppets while she was in jail. Because Mary Warren was now accused because she was the proctor's maid.
Yeah.
I put that little message on the message board, my favorite thing ever. Mary Warren also claimed that her specter had appeared to her and confessed to killing both of her husbands, throwing someone from a cherry tree, and trying to bewitch the magistrate's horses. I just
that's awesome.
There's something about the Salem witch trials that I love so much. And this is why I really don't believe that wheat theory. Because when you read them out loud, you're like, oh, a lie? It's like when they say, like, add a little detail into your life so it seems real.
Yeah.
She threw someone from a cherry tree.
Yeah, it was cherry. It was the cherry tree. It was growing cherry. Yeah.
No, actually, I'm remembering it clearly. It was the cherry tree.
There were cherries growing from it, so it was a cherry tree, actually. So,
like, that's a lie, Mary. You're lying.
That's sick.
Yes. So Anne's first husband, Thomas Greenslet, died shortly after the couple moved to Salem.
Mm-hmm.
And afterwards, she worked as a midwife and a nurse. When she was accused, actually, there was ointments in her house, and they were like, what are these ointments for?
And she was too embarrassed about her eczema.
Yeah, she was too embarrassed because she gave herself chemical burns from her canestin.
I was like, I don't know what that is. She's like squirming. I don't know what that could be.
Does anybody have cotton underwear I can wear?
I need to have a breathable fabric.
I need a breathable fabric.
No polyester.
Yes. So when she was a midwife and a nurse, she was hired by the rich blacksmith Jacob Pudeator to look after his sick wife. You might see based on the last names where this is going.
Yeah. Okay.
Isabel, his wife, was a drunk who was violent and delirious by the end of her life.
And who wrote down that history?
What I love about that is I hope that if we're in the middle of a massive historical event, I'm like such a minor character, I die before it happens, but everyone's like, Carley Thorne was a drunk and delirious by the end of her life.
Yeah, someone who's reporting on your life is just mad at you for
they want to fuck my husband.
Yeah. They're like, yeah, she's delirious, drunk.
Honestly, probably better off without her.
Probably
racist, incredibly racist.
She's actually awful. I actually really remember a lot of bad things that she did now. Yeah, actually,
yeah. I didn't remember I didn't want to kind of blow up her spot and talk about it when she was alive.
Yeah, but now that she's dead, she was a crazy drunk, and I hate her. And she
offshore
tried to kill me. She drowned my oxen. Like, it's crazy as shit she was doing.
The shit she was doing was actually
tax evasion, dude. Like, it's nuts. It's
nuts. And she was a drunk and delirious.
She would tunnel into the ground like all night, just tunnel.
What was she tunneling to?
Holes.
What was she digging?
Long hole. Like, where's she going?
A long hole.
People would fall
also known as a tunnel.
A tunnel, a long hole / tunnel. People fall into it and they die like that. Like cave guy got stuck in the cave.
Yeah, it was bad. It was just bad stuff. She was had really bad shit to say about Meghan Markle.
She was really
You just don't want to do anti-vax.
Anti-vax. She was like defending the king.
Yeah. Like not really good
was
stuff.
Like the king.
So honestly, the fact that she died mysteriously, probably good. Now, she died suddenly in 1676, and both her husband and Anne were present at her death.
Okay. Well, that's incredibly suspicious.
That's what the community thought also. The community was like, that's
interesting.
That's suspicious.
That you guys just happen to be
there.
Now,
it's possible that she was just dead. Like, she was just dying. You know what I mean? Yeah. But it's also possible that she just fully put a pillow on her head and absolutely suffocated her.
Yeah, this is what I'm worried about.
Absolutely. Now, the community found this suspicious, and they went to court in 1680, but they were not charged with murdering Isabel, okay? But they later got married. He was also 20 years younger than her, I learned, which is awesome.
Okay, uno reverso.
Uno reverso. So actually, we love this couple.
We love him.
He died in 1682, so now she was a very rich widow.
Okay.
So...
And he was 20 years younger and he died first. Oh,
she might have
been looking great for her.
She might have, murdered her husband.
But he was, drunk.
And he was the way he was digging long holes in the backyard.
He was tunneling all night, really grunting
stuff.
Tunneling just all night.
Not good.
Hours of tunneling.
He wore cargo shorts.
Yeah, it was like gross. He kept like candy in his turnips of his pants.
Yes, just not.
It's disgusting.
Not a good guy.
He would kind of like eat spaghetti and it would all like drip down him, and then he picked the noodles off his shirt and eat them.
I know. Yeah, he just didn't. He had dirty fingernails.
Yeah, he was like a dirty fingernail. He was always like stroking them on people's faces.
Yeah, he said that Yoko broke up the Beatles.
Yeah. He was like, I hate Yoko. I love John.
John never did anything wrong.
John's my favorite Beatle. I love him. Paul can suck a dick.
Yeah.
Paul is dead.
He
believed in Paul is dead.
He believed in Paul is dead.
He was like, I started the Paul is dead theory.
Yeah, so the fact that he died is fine.
It's actually fine.
Now, when we talk about the gossip in the Salem witch trials, this is like what I'm saying, where it's like, if you hear your mom talk about how Anne Pudeator killed her 2 husbands, and then you're an afflicted girl, you're like, well, obviously she killed her 2 husbands.
Yeah.
Her specter appeared to me and admitted to killing her 2 husbands.
Yeah.
And also throwing someone from a cherry tree.
Yeah. And so I hate her.
Absolutely.
And she's a witch.
All right.
She's a witch.
Now we're getting to the last 2. Okay?
Yes.
So we have Abigail Hobbs, who is 16 years old. And I wrote, absolute queen of chaos. Hell is a teenage girl. I love Abigail.
And that's right.
She kind of did the Tituba of it all, except for Tituba like really spun a tale with her testimony, but managed to not implicate anybody else who hadn't already been accused. Mm-hmm. Abigail Hobbs went, no. And she would basically just be like saying crazy shit, being like, I'm a witch, I admit to it. I'm a witch and I do admit to it. And here's 17 other names of witches. Like just
love her.
Absolute menace to society.
Oh my God.
Even before she was accused, she was just a really chaotic presence. She claimed she sold her body to the devil for protection.
Good.
And she would constantly be frolicking in the woods at night. Now, this is already kind of scary because she's a teenage girl, but if you recall, they were just on the heels of like a war with the indigenous people because they colonized their land.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Is it a war?
Is it a war?
Or a reaction?
Yeah.
But the colonists were terrified of being in the woods at night because the indigenous people would scalp them and kill them.
Yeah.
And Abigail Hobbs was like, I'm not worried about it because I sold my body to the devil.
Yeah, and I love being in the woods at night.
I actually love it, and the devil is there.
My favorite activity is to be in the woods at night.
She flicked water in her stepmom's face, and she... and because this was like said to mock baptism.
Oh.
Like she was like, I hereby baptize you as a little bitch. Like that's what she did.
I'm going to start doing that.
Yeah.
People.
Let me baptize you as a fucking cuck.
As a little...
Gotcha.
Hate you. Gotcha.
Gotcha.
It's going to make beach day fun.
Yeah. So she publicly talked back to her mother, a lot of times her stepmom, Deliverance Hobbs. Just really put Deliverance through the ringer.
Whoa.
You know what I mean?
Served her Deliverance.
Honestly, yes.
Yeah.
So from April 18th to the 20th, she is examined and sent to prison. She implicates her stepmother, Deliverance Hobbs, and a ton of other people.
Awesome.
She was most likely accused just because she was like the bad girl from the next town over. You know what I mean?
Yeah. She was a little slut from the other school.
Absolutely. She was like the girl that you're kind of scared of from the other school because she's so cool, but she's also kind of rough.
Yeah.
She was the 3rd person in the trials to admit to witchcraft. And like I said, she just accused fucking everybody. She claimed that the devil had made it to Maine. Which, like, the devil's got the whole world. He made it to Maine.
Made it to Maine.
And she directly accused George Burroughs, the former minister of Salem, who had moved to the Maine border.
Cool.
So she was like, the devil made it to Maine, and also, your former minister
is also in Maine.
He's also in Maine, and he loves the devil.
That's awesome. Devil and his buddy in Maine.
Yes.
Devil road trip.
Devil road trip. Hangover 4, Devil road trip.
Devil road trip. Devil road trip to Maine.
Let's go, baby.
Let's go. Let's ride.
Dun, 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 dun.
Woo!
Dun. Now, I want to talk about what I referenced before in Rebecca Nurse's thing. Of like, there was something that happened in Rebecca Nurse's trial that most likely swayed the jury. So when, or not the jury, it's a panel of like smart guys, whatever. Yes. But you know what I mean. Basically, when they were like, are you sure she's not guilty? They like thought back to this. Yeah. And we're like, never mind, she's guilty. One of those things was they had asked her a question, and again, she couldn't hear because she was deaf. And they're like, oh, it's because the devil's whispering in her ear.
Yes.
Which is just...
And it's true.
Absolutely insane. Like, surely the idea of deafness existed back then. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But also, both of the Hobbs women, Abigail and Deliverance, acted in prison as witnesses for Rebecca's trial, basically.
Cool.
Okay? Being like, oh, we were at the witch meetings and she was there too. Whatever. So when they bring Deliverance and Abigail in, Rebecca sees them and goes, what? You bring her? She's one of us. And then wouldn't elaborate on that.
Oh, no.
So everyone's like, you mean a motherfucking witch? Because she's a admitted witch. But what she meant was prisoner. And she was like, you simply can't, the other prisoners can't be witnesses for prisoners. That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Didn't matter.
Oh, no. That's rough.
Yeah.
That's a real misspeak.
I know.
No.
It's rough.
Oh, that's
sad. She
sad.
clarified in a letter later, but nobody
Been
cared.
a prisoner.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I want to talk about one last woman of Salem.
Okay. I'm excited for the final woman. Final girl.
And I wanted to save her as the final girl because her name is really funny to me.
Okay.
And it's Dorcas Hoar.
Oh, my God. I was waiting for Dorcas Hoar to come back.
Absolutely.
Because that name,
it doesn't leave you.
It feels like I'm a child again and I hear like something silly and then I like ruin someone's life over it. And that's how I feel about Dorcas Hoar, where I haven't stopped thinking about it.
No, you can't stop thinking
Like,
about
Dorcas Hoar is fucking crazy.
Yes.
Dorcas Hoar.
Like
You're a Dorcas Whore.
You're a Dorcas Whore.
I want a t-shirt that says Dorcas Whore. I'm going to wear it.
We should make merch that just says Dorcas Whore.
Let us know if you want merch that says Dorcas Whore. Dorcas Whore Hive, rise up.
We are all Dorcas Whore.
We are all Dorcas Whores.
Now, she was 60, and she was a very easy target because she kind of led a roguish life.
Yeah.
She
was an easy
it's
target.
It's like that joke, which I love, but is so true, of like in The Lion King, if you name one of your sons Mufasa and the other Scar. It's not my joke, but I think it's such a good joke of being like, one of them's going to be evil.
Yeah, it's like, and one of them's going to be the king.
Yeah.
The Lion King.
So I think the same thing goes for Dorcas Whore. Like, you can't name your child Dorcas Whore and not be like, she's going to become a menace to society.
Yeah, absolutely.
She was not from Salem. She was from one of the towns in the surrounding Essex County. Mm-hmm. And she was known to tell fortunes. And her minister explicitly told her several times to stop, especially during the Salem witch trials. He's like, you need to stop telling fortunes. And she didn't. She also ran, and this is my favorite fact I learned. Maybe, like, it was just a fact that I learned when I was researching the Salem witch trials that truly made me go, what? Like, I wasn't expecting it. She ran a burglary ring with her 6 children and several servants in the town.
Okay, Maria Von Trapp.
No, that's what I said.
Jesus Christ, you're going to sing songs too?
She's like Fagin or whatever, or Fagin from Oliver. Consider yourself at home.
What the fuck?
So she ran a burglary ring with her 6 children and servants who were all children from around the town.
Jesus Christ.
So they stole clothing, money, jewelry, and food from everyone in the town, including the minister.
And you must know when it's them ransacking your house.
You're like, well, it's kids.
Or you're like, there's 8 people in my house right now burglaring me.
And also, by the way, my house is a single room.
Yeah, it's a single room. There's 7 children in here that are not here before. They're stealing my shit. What? A burglary ring. Give me a fucking break. I can't talk about I actually don't think I can talk about the witch trials anymore. It's getting too much for me.
I know, like I read that. And it's one of those things where it's like it's true, but if it was fictional and I was editing this story, I'd be like, that's a hat on a hat.
Yeah,
we don't need it.
It's too much.
Yeah, like we don't need the
burglary
hanging
ring. Witches. We don't need the burglary ring of children and servants led by a woman named Dorcas Whore.
Well, all this like witch trial shit is happening. Like Dorcas Whore is in her own musical.
Yeah, like save that for a novella. Like, don't.
Yeah, she's in a Dickens novel. She's on her own B plot. Like, it's like there was some kind of like multiverse. There was a rip in the space-time continuum, and Dorcas Whore jumped into the Salem witch trials.
Yeah, she's doing all of her twist, man. Like,
absolutely.
This is too much.
Loved that.
I'm losing my goddamn mind.
I know.
It's literally just all stuff. Like, it's like, oh my God, they were so bored. Like, I can't even imagine how bored these people must have been to be like, I have 6
Probably
kids.
Child burglary.
Probably child burglary, right? Like,
what should I do with my 6 kids?
Thinking, I have 12 free hours in the day.
And 6 kids.
And 6 kids.
The math there leads me we must burgle the minister. We must steal bread from the minister.
We're Dorcus and the whores. And this,
the whorettes descended upon the minister's single room.
And that's my Daisy Jones and the 6.
Absolutely.
Dorcus and the whores.
Dorcas Jones and the 6.
Dorcas Jones and the 6 whores. How do we get here? How do we get out? They're like locked in the door. Why can't you just admit it to me? We're burgling now.
Honestly, should have been that. Taylor Jenkins Reid's, you can have that idea for free.
Taylor Jenkins Reid, 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo.
More like the
6 burglaring children of Dorcas Hoar.
Honestly, Taylor Jenkins Reid, you get that idea for free.
You can have that.
Okay.
You're fucking welcome.
You're welcome.
These are 2 of the greatest minds of our generation talking to you right now, Taylor Jenkins Reid.
You should be so lucky. You millionaire.
You millionaire, you.
Absolutely. Like, you could have given me 50 guesses being like, what do you think is going to like, what's a random topic you think is going to come up? And I would have never gotten
child burglary.
I would have never gotten to a child burglary ring.
This town is so small.
I know.
For sure, they're getting burgled, and then the next day they see them at the market.
Well, this happened one time when I was in middle school where I was carpooling with friends home from soccer, and my mom bought me like an Adidas tracksuit top, like, like the zip up.
Oh, yeah.
And I left it in the car. And then the next day, this girl came to school wearing the jacket. And I was like, that's my jacket. And she was like, no, it's not. And I was like, okay, so I literally left it in your mom's car last night. Like, it's my jacket.
Yeah.
And then my friend unzipped it and got the tag, and the tag said Carley Thorne. And I was like, if you waited like 2 weeks, I might have forgotten about it.
Yeah.
But I literally just left the jacket.
Did it. You had no skill in this burgle.
And that's what that's like. It's like, oh no, somebody stole my jewelry, but I can see 6 children wearing some combination of it.
It's really weird because usually children don't wear jewelry.
Yeah, why is that child, who I know to be poor,
wearing my Cartier bracelet?
Why is he in jewels? Why is that child in jewels?
Why are the children in jeweled?
So I just love that.
Best believe they still bejeweled.
When I walk in the room, I can make the whole place shimmer. And when I'm with the burglary band, they ask, do you have a man? I say, it's Dorcas whore. So on May 2nd, 1962. No, 1692. I wrote 1962, but that's...
No, 1692.
Yes.
Love.
Abigail Williams claimed that Hoar was a witch, and she was like a witch before even Tituba was a witch. And that the devil was whispering in her ear. These girls love to say the devil was whispering in their ears.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
So blah blah blah. Shit happens where it's the same old story time and time again. You get examined, these children lie, you go to court, all this stuff, and she gets sentenced to hang on September 9th, with the hanging scheduled for September 22nd. Mm-hmm. On September 21st, the day before she was sentenced to hang, she admits to witchcraft.
Cool.
And the reverends decide that she is allowed to have her execution basically pushed off for 1 month so she can work with ministers and reverends to repent for her sins before she is damned.
Cool. Okay.
But that was the last hanging of the Salem witch trials. So she basically got out by the skin of her teeth.
Good for her.
Yeah.
I'm with you, Dorcas.
Honestly,
girl power.
I'm with her. Girl power.
Her. Nevertheless, she persisted.
Well-behaved women rarely ever make history.
Yeah.
And that's why Dorcas Hoar and her child burgles have made it to the podcast.
They made it to the podcast.
Yeah. So those are the women.
Wow. I love that. That was really a riveting, on my kind of hungover day, that was a riveting tale of female friendship. That was basically Bridesmaids.
That was Bridesmaids 2.
That was Bridesmaids 2.
2 brides, 2 maid. Do you want?
Let's do it.
Let's make this tragedy about us.
So this is the portion of the podcast where we take this tragic event and refocus ourselves in the narrative.
Which we need to do.
And my question for you, because I have been thinking this, and it's kind of a little bit more of an abstract question, but stay with me here.
Love it.
If you were to make a movie or a TV show or a musical or something about the Salem witch trials, like, what would the tone be? Like, how would you go about doing it? Like, it can't just be like a historical recounting of it.
It's got to have a big tonal switch.
It's got to have a big tonal switch.
Okay, I'm kind of thinking it could be some kind of like dark comedy, like Coen Brothers-esque.
Okay, love.
Where like all of the characters kind of, there's a lot of, they're wordy lines, but it's like they're so kind of disaffected by this crazy thing happening. I feel like where they're like, I'm as innocent as the child unborn.
Yeah.
Like they're just really not engaged in any way. I want it to be like kind of like a blockbuster. So it's like every single person, when they're like, oh, Dorcas Hoar's coming in, you're like, what celebrity is going to be? Like when when you're watching Dune and you're like, okay, well, they're talking about this new character.
It's going to be Christopher Walken.
Yeah, what famous actor is it going to be?
Yeah, like a lot of people doing Oscar grabs.
Exactly.
Okay, love.
What would you do?
I think I would do like a Mean Girls-esque, like almost like high school comedy vibe.
I love.
Of it, like really just kind of like raunchy and over the top.
That'd be good.
I think would be fun.
Like 10 Things We Hate About You or She's the Man, where they're like teen movies that are comedies that are based off of Shakespeare plays.
Yeah.
We need that for the Salem witch trials.
I think I would like still set it like in the time of Salem. And just they all talk like a high school comedy.
Oh my God, Abigail, you can't just ask somebody why they're a witch.
Yeah, you can't just ask someone why they're a witch. Well, I saw the devil whisper in her ear.
And I was like, don't whisper with the devil.
Like, don't whisper with the devil. Everyone knows what the devil was saying.
It's like
Dorcas hoard last month, and now she's in shit, and you're getting us all in shit.
Yeah, it's very like Scream Queen vibes. There's a really funny line that I think of all the time from Scream Queens, where she's like, all of her friends are like Chanel number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 or whatever. And she's like, there was a Chanel number 3. But she got bronchitis and she was like, I'm sick. I'm going to go home. And I was like, ew, don't. And then she went home and she died. So another thing I was right about, like that's the tone of this, of being like, I was like, don't do that. And then she was a witch. So another thing I was right about.
I actually think I told her to admit to witchcraft and she didn't. And then she died and I'm alive. And now I get to be a witch.
I would really love like a Salem witch trials movie that's really focused on this just like idea of all of these afflicted girls talking with each other about what lies they're going to say. Like it's so like, they're so like abhorrent and these are horrible things. But I just think it would just be so interesting to see like basically children get together and be like, so I'm going to say that she pushed someone out of a cherry
tree. I'm going to say that she turns into a blue pig.
Okay, good.
And that's going to be that's actually going to be awesome. It's like Rugrats style.
Yeah. Like I just think that would be like really interesting.
Yeah.
We don't get that. We just get like what's in the historical records, which I get, obviously.
Blah, blah, blah.
But like give us
more
a new spin.
Information.
We got it.
Whatever.
I say that obviously because we've done a podcast about it. But we've basically like through doing this, now all that's left to talk about really is the executions.
It's actually crazy.
I know.
Like I feel like we're reaching a point in the podcast where it's like there's so much freaking information that I have on these freaking trials now.
I know.
I'm losing my mind. But I'm excited.
I know.
I'm excited. Anything else we want to say?
No, I mean, thanks for listening to the podcast as always.
Thanks for so much. We love you so much.
We love you.
We love you, each other. I love you, Carley.
I love you, Blair. That's sweet.
I love the sun in the sky. I love it.
I love it.
My big was sensitive today because I drank too much last night. That's always what happens.
That's okay. No, I think that's good. Let's say bye.
Okay.
Bye.